What if I told you that our family is flying to Hawaii during peak season for a fraction of the cost that most people pay, and we're staying in a luxury resort? No, this video isn't a brag and it's not clickbait. It's me showing you all the tips and tricks I used so that when you go on vacation, you can stretch your dollars without sacrificing the view. Let's go.
Welcome to your Money on Easy mode with Damien.
Planning a big vacation doesn't have to mean spending a lot of money if you know where to look, what tools to use, and how to time things right. In today's episode, I'm going to walk you through a trip to Hawaii that I recently planned, all of the resources, tips, tricks, and hacks that I used for our flights, our hotel, transportation, meals, and entertainment. A couple of years ago, we spent Christmas in Kauai. It was what felt like a once-in-a-lifetime vacation for our family, and we all fell in love with the island. So we wanted to do everything we could to make it back there. So we're planning another trip this Christmas to the island of Kauai. We've been saving up for a while for that trip, and now it came time to book our flights, our hotels, and our activities. A lot of these things book up way ahead of time. So starting in the spring, we wanted to jump on these deals as soon as we could. I spent quite a long time learning these tips and tricks, and so in today's episode, I thought it would be fun to break down all of these different tools and resources that I used to book this trip and how you can use them for your next big vacation. If you want to make your next vacation feel like a deal without feeling cheap, then this episode is for you. Now, if you're listening to this episode, that's fine. I'll try to do my best at explaining what I'm walking through on the screen. However, to get the full experience and for this to make the most sense to you, I recommend watching this video either on Spotify or on YouTube. Okay, first up, let's start with flights. I'm going to walk through the steps that I took in order to get the cheapest deal on our flights to the island of Kauai. Now, this won't come as a surprise to those of you who are longtime listeners, but I love flying on Southwest. The reason is because of the Southwest Companion Pass. Now, I have a full video, which I'll link to, that walks through what the Companion Pass is, how to earn it, and the best way to use it. So I won't go into depth today, but let's talk about some of the highlights. If you are traveling with more than one passenger, say you and a couple, or you and your family, the Southwest Companion Pass allows another person to fly with you for free. And if you time it right, you can get free flights with the Southwest Companion Pass for 2 full years. So knowing that we have the Companion Pass, I wanted to look for flights on Southwest to the island of Kauai, which is one of the Hawaiian islands. Southwest has been flying to Hawaii for a few years now, and they've really increased the routes. And I think it's an excellent option for getting from the mainland over to the Hawaiian Islands. So once you have your Southwest Companion Pass in hand, I'll walk you through how I find the best flights on Southwest's website. Here we are on Southwest's homepage, and it's got an easy way for you to track the lowest fares from your source to a destination. And what that page on Southwest website is called is the low fare calendar. So if we go over to the header here and click on flights, under the flight section, there's a link called low fare calendar. We're going to click on that one. It will ask you where you're coming from and where you're going to and what month you're looking to travel in. So I've put in that I'm departing from Indianapolis, my home airport, in the month of December, and I want to go to Lihue in Kauai. Apologies to any Hawaiians if I mispronounce these words. And then I put in a return month of December as well. I'll click this search link, and what it will do is it'll show me prices. It will show me the lowest price every day during that month. On the left-hand side, we have a calendar of departure prices during the month of December. And then on the right-hand side, we have a list of return prices for the month of December. So what I can do is I can look at the dates around Christmas. Now, we knew that we wanted to go for at least a week. So I'm looking at dates before Christmas week, and I see that Thursday, the 18th, the cheapest flight is $795 per person. If I were to go the next day, Friday, it would be $1,020. And then on Saturday, $1,025, Sunday, $1,020, and then we're getting into Christmas week. If we choose the 18th, we know that there is a flight that is $795 that day, which is the cheapest of that day and the next 4-5 days in a row. Now, looking over at the return side of the screen, I know I want to go for at least a week. If I went from the 18th and went a week, that would put me out on Christmas Day, the 25th. No chance that I am traveling on December 25th on Christmas Day. So we'll look at the dates after that. I'd rather not fly out the day after Christmas either. That's probably a crazy travel day. So we're looking at Saturday, which is also $795, which is the same price as the departure, or Sunday, which is also $795, or Monday, which is $795. So any date that weekend would be $795. Let's just stretch as far as we can and say we're staying till the 29th. That would be an amazing Hawaii vacation. All right. Once you select the dates that have the lowest prices you want to travel on, you click this button called Continue to Flight Times, and then it'll show you on your departure day all of the flights that go out that day and their prices. So that cheapest flight that we saw was $795. That's an anytime fare that leaves at 6:40 a.m. and gets in at 1:15 p.m. We see it's got one stop and it changes planes in Las Vegas. So only one stopover to get all the way from Indianapolis to Kauai. Sounds pretty awesome to me. So I select that flight, I'll click the Select Next Flight button, and then we're taken to our return flight. So there are 6 flights going out that day, and the cheapest one, once again, is the first one, $795, leaves at 9:10 p.m. It's an overnight flight, and it gets in the next day at 2:45 p.m. Only one stop, once again, in Las Vegas. That's a pretty good route for getting all the way from Kauai back to Indianapolis. So I'll select that one, click Continue, and we can walk through the rest of our booking process. So we've seen that with the low fare calendar, it lets you see a full month's worth of dates for departures and for returns, and you can scan through the list of days, pick the date that you want, and then drill into the flights for that day and select the option that you're interested in. So that is hack number 2, after hack number 1 being the Southwest Companion Pass. Tip number 2 is to use the Southwest low fare calendar to book the cheapest dates for your trip. Quick question, if someone handed you $10,000 right now, would you know exactly what to do with it? Honestly, most people don't, and that uncertainty, well, that can cost you big time. So that's why I created something free just for you. Yes, Free. And that is my Easy Mode Money Ladder. The Easy Mode Money Ladder is a simple step-by-step guide to help you figure out exactly what to do with your money and when. This is not a boring budget worksheet. This is a no fluff guide that tells you exactly when to build your emergency fund, how much to put in it, the best way to crush your debt, and the steps you need to take, which aren't that complicated, to start growing real long-term wealth. All of this one simple step at a time. No matter where you are in your money journey, this guide is for you. It will help you plan your next money move with confidence. And did I mention that it's free? Yep, totally free and will always be free. If you want this guide, and I think you should, then go to my show notes and click on the link to my Stan store. That's simply my internet storefront where I give away this guide for free. Download it, follow it, and let's put your money on easy mode. Now, back to the show. Now, how do we pay for this flight? Once you have the Southwest Companion Pass, that gets your companion to fly for free, but you still have to pay for your flight, right? Southwest has a points system called Rapid Rewards Points. Once you earn the Companion Pass, you would have earned many Southwest Rapid Rewards points that you could use to pay for that flight. However, there are other ways to pay for your Southwest flight with points. So the next topic is what is known as the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal. In the world of travel points, the Chase credit card system and the Chase points system, known as Ultimate Rewards, are the best around. The reason why is because when you earn Chase Ultimate Rewards points, you can transfer those points to many of their travel partners, including Southwest. So check out this list from NerdWallet. It lists the best transfer partners using Chase Ultimate Rewards points and how much those points are worth when you transfer them to a partner. So we see Southwest is on this list, and one Chase Ultimate Reward point is worth about 1.3 cents or 1.3 Southwest Rapid Rewards points. So I use my Chase credit card to earn Chase Ultimate Rewards points, and then I transfer those points into Southwest Rapid Rewards points, which I then use to pay for my Southwest flights. Southwest recently released a new feature that lets you pay for flights with a combination of cash and points. So if you've got some points, but not enough to cover an entire flight, use their option of cash plus points to get that flight with your points and pay cash for the remainder. Now, the Chase Ultimate Rewards system is the best around, but it requires some learning. So I'm going to create another video where I talk about the Chase Ultimate Rewards system, the portal for booking, and how to transfer those points to their partners. Stay tuned for that one. Also, if you're going to fly Southwest, check out my other recent video where I talk about some big changes that Southwest is making to their whole flight process. These are bad changes. They are no longer going to let you fly with 2 bags for free, which is one of the big things that made Southwest who they are. They're going to start having some assigned seating, which also runs contrary to their open boarding policy they've had forever. Southwest is making some big changes. They're not good, and check out that video for more information on what those changes are and how to deal with them. Okay, so that was flights, how to pay for flights with points, how to transfer points, how to search for the best fares using the low fare calendar, and another plug for the Southwest Companion Pass. Next up, let's talk about hotels. Now, we knew the exact hotel that we wanted to stay in for this trip to Kauai. It's the one that we stayed in before. It's called Kauai Landing. Beautiful resort, enormous pool. So I didn't have to do much research to figure out where we wanted to stay. But if I were making that decision, let me show you how I make it. For me, for my money, the best place to search for the right hotel is a website called TripAdvisor. On TripAdvisor, you can view ratings of hotels. You can see the prices to book that hotel across many different booking sites. And you get a peek into photos of the place submitted by travelers themselves. So let me walk you through my method of using TripAdvisor to find the right hotel for my vacation. Here we are on TripAdvisor's homepage. And I am going to just start typing in the place I want to go. So I want to go to Kauai. And under the search results, we see a link for Kauai hotels. So I'll click on that one. And I did the search before, so it's already put in my check-in and check-out dates. But go ahead and put in the dates you want to travel and how many rooms and guests you want so that it can tell you prices from all across the internet. So we see that I have many results here. I'm going to jump into the hotel that we're going to stay at. It's called Kauai Landing. And I'll show you how I make decisions about if I want to stay there or not. So the first thing you're going to see is a list of photos. And I bet that the main cover photo will be one that is submitted by the hotel itself. I make a point to ignore photos that have been submitted by the hotel. Those are going to be professional photos. They're going to show the best face of the hotel and not give you an accurate picture of what it's really like to stay there. But TripAdvisor gives us a category of photos called traveler photos that let us see photos submitted by actual customers of that hotel. So ignore the glossy professional photos that are presented by the company itself. So I'm going to click on this photo and see if it tells me who submitted this one. Yep, management. So I clicked on a photo. It took me to a beautiful image of some fish that is sold at their grill on site called Holo Holo Grill. And I can see right here under the information about the photo that this one was submitted by management. So I'm not interested in that photo because it's just going to show me what's best about it and not show me the truth. So if we go back to the list of all photos, there's a category here on the left-hand side called Traveler. If I click on that category of photos, we can see photos that were submitted by people who actually stayed there. So this one, for example, is a photo of the hotel room and the bed. Nice looking photo. This one was contributed by someone named Brian P., who actually stayed there in June of 2019. So this is going to give you a more accurate representation of what it's like to stay at the hotel by clicking on photos from the traveler themselves. So that's tip number one when searching for hotels on TripAdvisor, is to search for photos submitted by travelers, not by the hotel. Next up, let's take a look at their reviews. So if we scroll down a little ways, we get to their reviews. TripAdvisor has been rolling out some usage of AI to summarize the reviews, and I find those summaries are pretty helpful. So there is an AI summary that takes into consideration all of the reviews for that hotel and gives you some of the highlights or the themes that were common across those reviews. Quick side note on the topic of AI, I recently released a video that walks you through five or six different ways that you can use AI to improve your personal finances. So make sure you watch that video. Back to TripAdvisor and reviews. Here is my next tip for how to get reviews that are accurate. So what I usually do is I sort these reviews by most recent. Sometimes it will be sorted in some other method, but what you really want to see are people who have stayed there recently, especially if this is a hotel that's been around for decades and people have been writing reviews on TripAdvisor for decades. The hotel of today is probably not the same hotel of 5, 6, or 10 years ago. So sometimes older reviews can skew the rating, the overall rating of the hotel, and you don't really want to take them into consideration, especially if the hotel has gone through a renovation, or the opposite, if it's just getting run down and more dated. A review from 2014 about how beautiful the hotel is will not apply anymore. So that's my next tip for reading reviews on TripAdvisor, is to sort by most recent. Also, you can take a look at reviews that happened around the same time when you're planning to visit. So we're going in Christmas, so I could take a look at reviews that were submitted around last Christmas to get an idea of what the weather's like, what the hotel's like, how busy it is during that time of year. Next up, and this is just a general guideline for any reviews that you read online, I tend to ignore or discount the extremes. So if someone's posted a 5-star review, they are a fanboy, and their review is going to be glowing and it won't say anything bad. On the other hand, you'll find those haters that post a 1-star review. They could have had one bad interaction with a staff member at the hotel, and that's all that they see. They could be blinded by that strong emotion and just rush off and write a review that is really scathing. So I tend to put less weight on 5-star reviews and 1-star reviews. I tend to look at the ones that are 2, 3, and 4 stars because those are people that I consider have put a little more thought and have toned down the urgent emotion of their reviews. So you can, of course, filter by traveler rating. So I'm going to filter by good, average, and poor. All right, here's a 2-star review that was submitted in March of 2025. They said, pool's beautiful, but would stay elsewhere. And they have a rather lengthy review. That's awesome. They probably have a lot of detail in this review. Another thing that's helpful to see, especially with reviews that are not 5 stars, is if the hotel themselves responds. If the business owners are responsive on social media or on these review sites, you see that they care about the perception of their brand, and they're probably going to do something to try to make it right with that customer. So it's helpful to read those reviews that are not 5 stars, and it's also helpful to read any responses that the company makes to those reviews. All right, so those are some of my tips for searching for the right hotel. I start with TripAdvisor. I put in the dates of my travel and where I want to go. And then when I'm looking at specific hotels, I only look at traveler submitted photos. When I'm reading reviews, I sort by most recent to see the ones that are more relevant to my stay. And then, even though I'll read the 5-star and 1-star, I won't take them into consideration as much as the 2, 3, and 4-star reviews. And then, if any of those negative reviews have responses from the owner of the business or of the hotel, I'll pay attention to those as well to see how responsive they are to concerns that are submitted by the reviewers. If you use those tips to book your next hotel, you're going to find the best place that you can. Are you still making minimum payments and getting nowhere on your pile of debt? Let's change that. If your credit card balance feels like a boss fight that you just can't win, well, I made something for you. It's called the Easy Mode Guide to Destroy Your Debt, and it gives you the exact plan to break free. In this 23-page guide, we'll bust through common myths, learn step-by-step strategies, and you'll discover how to pay off your debt faster, without shame, overwhelm, or giving up everything that you enjoy. Whether you're into the snowball method, the avalanche method, or have no idea what either of those mean, this guide is for you. If you're ready to finally start paying down your debt, then this guide speaks plain English and delivers results. It's just $19.99 and it's available in my storefront. If you click the link down below to enter my stand store, you'll see a big green button to purchase the guide. Please don't let another month slip by with no progress. Hit pause on this video, scroll down to the show notes, and click the link to download this guide. Now back to the show. So how do you pay for this hotel? Once again, I'm going to talk about the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal. You can earn points by spending on your Chase credit cards and then transfer those points to some of the big hotel chains. For my money, the best hotel to transfer your Chase Ultimate Rewards points to is Hyatt. Hyatt has a rewards program called World of Hyatt, and they have some of the most generous redemption options with their point system. As you can see from this NerdWallet review, you can transfer your Chase Ultimate Rewards points into World of Hyatt points, and each of those points is worth up to 2.2 cents or points, which is one of the most generous, highest redemptions available in all of the points rewards systems. I've personally used Chase Ultimate Rewards points, transferred them over to World of Hyatt points, and stayed with Hyatt 2 or 3 times, and it was an excellent experience. Unfortunately, the hotel that I'm staying at in Kauai is not a member of any of these rewards programs, so I had to pay cash for this trip. So let's talk about how I got the best deal when paying cash for this trip. If you look on TripAdvisor, it will show you prices from a lot of different booking sites for your vacation. Now, these prices are going to be the lowest price possible. They're not going to include taxes. They won't include hotel and resort fees, and there's always a bunch of those when you travel to Hawaii. So this price is really a teaser price. You're going to pay a lot more than this. And in fact, I think I ended up paying somewhere around $900 total per night. But another suggestion I have is instead of using these third-party booking sites, go directly to the hotel's website and see what deals they're offering. Hotels prefer that you book with them rather than a third party, and they'll usually treat you better and give you better deals if you go that direction. So what did I do? Well, I actually went a third direction. I booked with Costco Travel. If you are a Costco member, Costco Travel is an excellent way to go for booking travel. Here's why. I have the executive Costco membership, so any purchases I make through Costco, I automatically get 2% back from those. I also have the Costco credit card, which gives me, it's either 3 or 4% back on any travel spending. So I stack my 2% membership with my 3% credit card to get 5% back on that booking. Also, when you book through Costco, they usually give you additional perks. So for example, I got to pay a room fee that was close to the prepaid fee, but I don't have to pay the full amount of my hotel until November, about a month before my travel. If I were to book directly through the hotel and get this price, I would have to pay the full fare right now, and I would have no cancellation protection. Instead, I book through Costco Travel. The price is very close to the pre-booking price, but I only pay a small deposit now, and then I pay the full price a month before I travel. So I can cancel it anytime up until then, get my deposit back, and I'm not out all of that money. In addition to booking my hotel through Costco Travel, I booked a bundled hotel and rental car. When booking a rental car through Costco Travel, they usually give you a discount, which I was able to get, and they usually give you a free upgrade to a better car, which I was also able to get. So plug for Costco Travel. If you're a Costco member, especially if you have the Costco executive membership or the Costco credit card, you're going to get a better deal and more cash back when you book hotels and car rentals through Costco Travel. Okay, quick little chat about rental cars. Many of the hacks that I've already described work for rental cars as well. Look at Google Reviews of the rental car company that you're interested in. Make sure to sort by most recent reviews and probably ignore the 5-star and the 1-star. look for reviews that went wrong, but then the business reached out and responded to the submitter. So all of those still apply when you're looking for a rental car. There are some rental car programs that are partners with the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal. So go ahead and use those Chase points, transfer them over to the car rental agencies and use them there. But I will caution that the redemption is not as good as what you could get either with flights or with hotels. So I would use Chase Ultimate Rewards to book my car rental as a last resort if I didn't need to use them for my flights, my hotel, or other expenses. Another thing I forgot to mention about booking your car through Costco Travel is that oftentimes they'll also include an additional driver for free. My wife hates how slow and cautious I drive, so she's always the primary driver for our rental cars. However, Costco would allow me to be an additional driver for free, where if I booked through the rental company itself, that's usually an upcharge of $10 to $15 per day. Okay, next up, let's talk about how I plan for meals and food when I'm looking to book a trip. Now, I may be exposing my elder millennialness here, but I still love Yelp. Yelp's been around for a long time, and it's really good at restaurant reviews. I know, in addition to Yelp, you can also just use Google reviews. Those have been growing over the past years. I like to start from Yelp, see if I'm interested in the restaurant, and then if so, go and read the Google reviews to see if there's any big differences between the two. So let's take a look at how I view Yelp reviews when booking travel. All right, here we are on Yelp's website, and I'm gonna go ahead and there's a restaurant, there's an ice cream shop in Kauai that we love that we're gonna go back to. Let's just see what the reviews look like for that place. It's called Papalani. All right, searching for Papalani's in Kauai. Here we go, Papalani Gelato. So I'm gonna go ahead and select that place. They have a 4.4 out of 5 rating on Yelp with 368 reviews. So first, I'll take a look at the photos, see if it's food that I'm even interested in. And unlike TripAdvisor, there's not a great way to know if the business submitted the photo or if a reviewer did. You kind of have to go image by image to look at those. So here I am looking at an image of someone holding a cup of ice cream. Looks awesome. Looks like it's got some waffle cone crumpled up on top of it. And we can see that a person named Rachel F. submitted this image. So that person is not Papalani's, not the owner. It's just a person. Okay, if we go to the next photo, we see an image of a bunch of different ice creams in their ice cream tubs. Sorry, I don't know all the terminology here. This one says 12 handmade dairy-free sorbettos made daily, submitted by Papalani Gelato. So this is an image that was submitted by the company themselves. Like I said before, I usually discount or kind of ignore these photos because they're going to put the food or the restaurant in the best light possible and not really show you reality. So I usually ignore those photos. So yeah, I will take a look at the photos, see if this looks like food that I'm interested in, and then if it is, I'll take a look at the reviews. So if we scroll down a little ways, we'll get to the reviews. And this is my next tip for searching reviews for food. And it's similar to when you're searching for all other reviews. And that is to change the sort order by the most recent reviews. So Yelp by default has this order that they call Yelp sort. I have no idea what that means, but I'm going to change that to newest first. So this is going to show us people who have been there recently and what they thought about the restaurant. This is especially important if the restaurant's been around for a long time. If this restaurant's been in business for, say, 15 years, it's possible that their ownership and their menu has changed over those years. So you don't want to be looking at reviews of food from 10 years ago because that food might not even exist anymore at that restaurant. Sort by most recent, newest first, and then read those reviews. Here's the problem with Papalani's. They have tons of 5-star reviews. Those don't really help you to figure out what could potentially go wrong with your visit to that restaurant. But I can say that Papalani's deserves this 5-star rating. Their gelato is amazing. But if you wanted to, you could ignore the 5-star and the 1-star reviews. Those are people who have felt really strong emotions, either the fanboys or the haters, and usually their reviews aren't as objective or unbiased as someone who gives a 2, 3, or 4-star review. So I pay more attention to the mid-range reviews, and then similar to TripAdvisor, Business owners can respond to reviews on Yelp. So I'll see if the business owner responded to a negative review and if they owned up to any problems and tried to make it right. Now, food is really important in our family. We like real food, whole food, fresh ingredients. In addition to that, my wife and 2 daughters are lactose intolerant. So that's a big decision point when we're figuring out if we're going to go to a restaurant or not. One thing that's great about both Google reviews and Yelp reviews and TripAdvisor reviews is that you can search in those reviews. So usually when we're looking at an ice cream shop, I'll type in words like dairy. And we see here this person says good selection of gelato dairy and sorbet dairy free. Good. If we're going to an ice cream shop, I always have to find places that have non-dairy options. Another one that says the pineapple sorbetto is dairy free. What's this one say? You can choose from dairy and non-dairy. So this looks like a pretty good option for my family. They have non-dairy gelato or sorbetto. So to recap, when I am trying to decide on what restaurants to visit when I'm on vacation, I go to Yelp reviews first and Google reviews second. I take a look at photos that were submitted by actual customers, and I usually just ignore photos that were submitted by the business. I sort the reviews by most recent to see what the most recent experience has been, and I search those reviews based on keywords to see if it's going to have food that meets my family's dietary restrictions. I also take a look at any non-5-star reviews and see if the business has responded to those reviews, either taking responsibility for the less than perfect experience or trying to make that experience right. Okay, finally, let's talk about activities. Now, this is where I use TripAdvisor again. So no new information here. Everything I said before still applies. Go to TripAdvisor, look at activities or things to do in the place that you're going. Look at the top rated ones, drill down into any activities that look interesting to you. Take a look at photos that were submitted by actual customers instead of the business. Then start taking a look at the reviews. Sort the reviews by most recent. Also look at reviews that happened around the time of year that you're going to be there. This is especially important for any outdoor activities. You want to know how hot or cold it was that time of year, any special equipment that you should bring along for your activity, or clothing that you should wear to be prepared. Then take a look at non-5-star and non-1-star reviews. Take a look at any responses that the business might have given to those reviewers. Using those tips with a combination of TripAdvisor as well as Google reviews should get you a very clear picture of how awesome the activity is going to be and if it's a right fit for you and your family. Wow, we covered a lot of ground today. I hope these practical tips have been helpful. We walked through the best tips and tricks that I've got to find the right flights, the hotel, meals, transportation, and activities. So what were the common threads? If we use the right tools for our research, we can get the best answers. Use points when you can. Stack your credit card points with any other rewards programs that you have. Pay attention to the right reviews, the ones that are most recent, the ones that are around the time that you're going, the ones that aren't totally glowing or scorched earth, and pay attention to things that were submitted by reviewers, not by the business themselves, unless that's a response that the business is making to a review that somebody had. By using tools like Yelp, TripAdvisor, Google Reviews, the Southwest Low Fare Calendar, and Costco Travel, you can find the best deals for the right activities, transportation, and hotels. If this episode helped you rethink how you plan your vacations, then please share it with someone else. Even better, start planning your next trip. Open up TripAdvisor, search for those hotels, and use the tips that I gave you to filter through the reviews to get the most accurate picture of where you're going to go. Well, that's all for today. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to Your Money on Easy Mode. If you enjoyed this episode, then please subscribe and share it with a friend.